Take two. All right. we just tried to record, but Leo had too much to say. My big bull Arab
mustn't have liked what he saw on the punt yesterday.
Well, I'll explain why. 7 double-figure winners across Flemington and Randwick. Another 3 over $7.50. And the shortest price winner across both tracks was Lady Shenandoah at $3.
She wasn't even favourite.
No.
It's a tricky day.
Doesn't mean that favourites didn't win throughout the day. Revolutionary missed one. She was favourite. So, but it was just as you said the first time we tried to do this. It was a competitive day with lots of stakes racing.
It really was. So it makes it a little bit tricky. It was a tough day for your hosts until the get out stakes, and we managed to find a couple which helps, but
even when I was winning, I was losing because I didn't have a bet on Via Sistina in the end. I was scared. I was a scaredy cat by the soft six.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Apparently, she didn't enjoy it, but the first Group 1, like you said, Lady Shenandoah, $3.
All right, there's some footage that was troubling me, and we're going to have this debate again, and we're going to tighten it up a little bit. So maybe this is the best thing that we're doing again. Mm-hmm. So this is Chris Waller after the race, Emma Freeman interviewing him.
Well, she was going to go to the 1,000 guineas.
Oh, that's a while away.
Because, we thought another filly might be running in this race today. She was entered for the trials yesterday. So, but obviously she's got a little bit up her sleeve, and we won't get too carried away. She's still filling out and developing, but she's got a Group 1 next to her name.
Good to see the fam.
She was entered for the trials yesterday. That troubles me, Chris, because it stinks to me if Autumn Glow, everything was right. Final acceptances, 7:30 on a Saturday morning. Lady Shenandoah comes right out and you save her for the 1,000 guineas, and then we don't see, because that was one of the best performances that we've seen from a 3-year-old filly this spring, and we wouldn't have seen that.
No.
Autumn Glow versus Lady Shenandoah. It's not good.
No, I don't think so. I said before, so there's the same sort of connections. So the Hermitage silks that are on Lady Shenandoah, they're also in the ownership of Autumn Glow. So I'm sure there would have been a lot of conversations behind closed doors around how do you guys want to play this? And I don't like it for a number of reasons. And to your point, you want to see the best horses race against each other, and I don't think we were afforded that opportunity in the flight stakes, and part of that is because Autumn Glow was taken out, and that's horse racing, and that's not by any design, just by the fact that she got injured, but also a lot of connections wouldn't have accepted because she was going there. I don't like the idea of these mega stables trying to take destiny into their own hands and trying to control the narrative. That makes it sound a little bit conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat type areas. But who's to say that Lady Shenandoah wouldn't have beaten Autumn Glow? Who's to say that she even gets to the 1,000 guineas in one piece? So much can go wrong in horse racing, and we saw that during the week with Autumn Glow. I don't like trying to control it too much. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah,
and I think it's the Chris Waller stable in particular. I think they're one of the worst offenders at it, and they're doing the best thing for their connections, right? I understand it, but for the betterment of horse racing, I don't think it's good. The other connections that I immediately thought of post the Autumn Glow scratching was the connections of Manal, Amina, and Erno's Cube. They should have accepted and had a crack anyway.
They should have, yeah. Absolutely. You can't die wondering.
No.
And if they have pulled a pin on their horses and saved them for the 1,000 guineas to avoid Autumn Glow, what if Lady Shenandoah did go there and she brained them anyway? So you just, I don't know. I think you have a throw at the stumps. It's better for the punters that all these fillies are racing against each other. And what's better for punters, I don't know, Hutch, I think it might be better for horse racing.
Well,
lifeblood?
Yeah. And if Manal, Amina, Erno, probably not to this extent, Erno's Cube.
But she would have been competitive.
But you get a better betting race then.
Yeah.
With those horses in there.
Absolutely.
It's a better product.
Absolutely.
I think As soon as Autumn Glow came out of the race, there was a collective sigh of disappointment across the industry, going like, oh, really? Now we're stuck with this field?
Yeah.
And it's like, there's always going to be a bit of an asterisk on this flight stakes now.
There will be. I'll tell you who's had a big sigh of disappointment. All the drifters who got in their Group 1 tips early. So 40% of responses for the flight stakes were for Autumn Glow. Obviously, because she was scratched, she was then designated the favourite with Neds, and that ended up being Snow in May. But well done to 21% of drifters who were on Lady Shenandoah, so she was a popular pick.
Including my wife. So the short ball, if Autumn Glow was in the flight stakes, how much does she win by if she wins at all? I think that's what we're harping on about.
We don't know. We don't know. Like she's from what we've seen, clearly the best filly in the race, but she's not bulletproof from what we've seen. But at the same time, if she was going neck and neck down the straight with Lady Shenandoah, maybe we would have seen an explosive performance from her and really what's under the hood. So
I didn't realise that Winks had a bone chip removed after her Doncaster win.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's not a massive deal. It's not ideal.
No,
but so we'll definitely see her again. But it's a shame.
It is a shame.
It soured the race for me. Definitely.
Absolutely. Now and taking nothing away, I think Lady Shenandoah's performance even heightened it more to me. How disappointing it was, because I'm like, oh, we could have had a real horse race here.
Real ding dong.
Yeah. Now the Metropolitan. Land Legend. I thought he was a super performance. He blended in at beyond the top of the straight. He got moving at the 500 or 600 metres. And he looked the only horse you wanted to be on. He's just a superior stay, this horse. The further he goes, the better he'll get, I think. I actually think he's a live Melbourne Cup chance based on that. Zardozi. She's just a genuine stayer, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. Absolutely. I was on Zardozi, but I couldn't understand the market move for her. But looking at the picks in our Group 1 tipping comp, mate, she had 25%.
Really?
Yeah. Followed by Future History. But I don't know. I think that's reflective of the market move. People were keen to be with her.
Are they listening to us?
They might be. I couldn't understand the late move. I liked her when she was closer to that sort of $10 mark, but she ran super. Giving a lot of weight to Land Legend, that tells me that she's a genuine stayer too. I think they're the only two that you want to take out of the race for the rest of the spring features. Do you reckon?
I think so. And what was your thoughts on the protest controversy?
Oh, look, speaking out of my pocket, well, I didn't even have a bet on Zardozi to be honest, but speaking out of my pocket, you could say, oh yeah, the protest should have been upheld, but no, I don't think so. There wasn't an overwhelming amount of evidence to suggest that you could turn it over, and I think as soon as that's the conversation, you just can't uphold it. I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
There was our DMs were getting smashed. Should Zardozi have got the protest? My head thought no, but she got her chance, but because of my betting slip. What else we got here? Is Land Legend underrated? Has shown twice he can sustain a long run over staying journeys. Absolutely. Josh Buttonshaw, I believe one of the stable hands for Peter Snowden. In fact, we know that's the case. How many chicks is Reece Jones getting tonight? Trick question. Thousands. Duh. Yeah. Good to see Cousin Reece getting his first Group 1.
Good to see Cousin Reece get his first Group 1, and that's why I was watching the footage in the stewards room, Channel 7. I was just feeling for the bloke. I was like, imagine you think you've got your first Group 1 only for it to get taken away. So I think the right result ended up happening. So good on you, Reece.
And not only that, riding for Chris Waller. It's like you want to get it right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Land Legend, clearly this was the target all along. Very lightweight.
It's not what Chris said after the race, mate. I think he was like, this is basically a prep run. So I think this would be Waller's number 1 seed, I think, heading to the Melbourne Cup.
So well done to the drifters who found Land Legend. 5 of you. So that's not a lot. Unfortunately, he didn't start double figures. So the one race we thought that would be the result, a double figure winner, it was not the case.
Yeah. So the Melbourne Cup order of entry, Zardozi, 13th in the order of entry with 51 kilos into the Melbourne Cup. And then Land Legend is further down. Now, I don't know if this is still to be updated, but he's 54th in the order of entry. Surely he goes up.
Oh, absolutely he will.
52 kilos he'll have. So I'd assume there'll be a penalty there as well. Like he's behind Francesco Guardi. So I think he'll be elevated.
You would imagine he'll get into the field. Well, look, I would love to see Zardozi in a Melbourne Cup. It's very, very hard for a 4-year-old mare, but it'd be an excellent learning exercise for her.
And Caulfield Cup, she's 12th in the order of entry, 51 kilos, Zardozi.
Well, I think she proved to us yesterday that she's a top 6 chance in a Caulfield Cup easily.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Land Legend's 51st in the order of entry, but I think, he'll be elevated again. Yeah, it's I think the Caulfield Cup in particular, I think it's pretty wide open. There were some pretty disappointing runs yesterday.
There sure was, yeah. Absolutely there was.
So, but we will get to that. Now, the Epsom Handicap. Chill Wolf. You were spot on with your analysis on this race because listen to these weights that were at basically the top 4 past the post. 54 kilos, 54 with Kitty Cat Tom as well. 56, 4 wide, facing the breeze, Royal Patronage, wins this race if he gets a more economical run. Then Kovalika was unlucky with 55.5. Then you see Arctic Glamour with 50 kilos, but My Oberon was then next in line, 56.5. The class runners ran the best in this race.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a thin race. Absolutely, it was a thin race. My on-top selection, Major Beal, and 10% of Drifters were with me. Got to where I thought he would get to in the running, but I think he had to work harder to get there than what I anticipated. So he faded for like a 7th or an 8th or something like that. But yeah, most Drifters were on Kovalika. There was a few for Cheerwolf. But yeah, it was a thin race. And I think what I'm starting to learn, particularly nowadays, with the... I guess the lack of class that we have on the top, like the depth isn't really there. When you get into these handicap races, and we're seeing it in the Caulfield Cup and the Melbourne Cup as well, I don't think we're in the days anymore where you just look for a lightly weighted thing and you just sort of go from there. Because they're so... The weights are so condensed now. Like if you look at that field, how many of them had sort of 52 kilos or under? So many. And so it's like, well, realistically then, you're just looking at the ones that are better horses, even if they have to carry a little bit more weight.
Yeah, which is typically how I've really assessed handicap racing, but I got lured in this time by some old favourites who are not up to that grade. So on the day, there was 4-mile races, and I'm not doing any time analysis from Flemington because it was rain throughout the day. It
too hard.
Absolutely stuffs it. But on the day, there was 4-mile races, including Swift Falcon, who was a sensational win by Team Hawkes. I think they've got a really exciting horse there. St. Lawrence, who turned back the clock. You don't win 6 from 7 in your first prep without being a smart horse.
No, yep.
Lady Shenandoah, obviously, and then Cheerwolf. Cheerwolf was the fastest run mile race by 1.2 lengths in comparison to Swift Falcon. The slowest run was St. Lawrence. Kind of makes sense. And then they ran home some pretty slick times as well. The fastest last 600 was by Lady Shenandoah, who ran home, I think, a superior 5 or 6 lengths to St. Lawrence. So, yeah, it was interesting little comparison there. But I think Cheerwolf, yeah, the 2,000-metre horse, probably Randwick Mile.
Yeah, it's a proven formula, and Jack pulled the right rein as it turns out. Where do you take Cheerwolf? Do you take him to a Cox Plate? Do you take him to a Golden Eagle?
Golden Eagle, I'd say.
Yeah,
just cash talks, right? It doesn't for the Epsom. If you're gonna throw more money into some miles, give it to the Epsom, I'd feel, because it doesn't sit right that Gringotts and some other horses aren't in this field.
No, it doesn't at all. So, yeah, cannibalising in Sydney. But, yeah, I think with Cheerwolf any other year, he'd probably go to a Cox Plate, I think. he looks to be a horse who, as he gets older, he's a 4-year-old gelding by Tappy Stock. As he gets older, I think that 2,000 metres will probably be right in his sweet spot. Hopefully he's not trained as a sprinter next prep.
We have to we have to talk about him, don't we? Think about it.
Absolutely. God damn. Absolutely we do.
That has to be one of the most puzzling rides I've ever seen.
Puzzling.
In the stewards report, Joe was supportive of Jason Collette's ride because Jason was riding to instruction, which is even more mind-boggling to me. Sure, you have the likes of, and it helps that Joe trains the other ones, the likes of Coal Crusher and Marzu in the race, and Airman went forward as well. But Joe was expecting a more genuine tempo, so he didn't want to be racing 3 wide without cover. But I reckon you can do that with this horse. Think about it. I think he's he's proven to be a tough on-speed galloper. And I feel like you're not riding him to the best opportunity to win when I've never seen him go back like that. It was just puzzling to me.
From what we've seen think about it, and from what we said during the week on the podcast, bro isn't a private eye, turn a foot, get him out of trouble horse. He's a on pace, fight him off, to your point, bulldog type horse. As soon as he went back, I was like, all right, tear your tickets up, bruh, if you're on Think About It. Do you know who my tickets were on in that race? Giga Kick. After the jump, where he settled, where J-Mac got him, just behind the speed, I was like, he's just going to run past him here. Did not end up being the case with Ammon holding on. Marzu
Winding back the clock.
Good to see. And Bella Nips, bit of criticism for Craig Williams' ride.
What do you want him to do? She missed the jump.
She was in the coffin.
Right.
And you don't want to give her a gut buster because guess where her grand final is?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks away in the Everest.
Where you're probably going to get $5 now.
And guess what? She's, in my opinion,
Number 1 seed.
numero uno.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm going to be backing her. Maybe not. Yeah, have to wait and see.
Yeah, she's the most consistent. Like, when she got out, she still zoomed home. Like, raced fastest last 200 meters of the race. So, I'm looking at these sectionals, right? Bella was the only one to break 33 in the last 600. So she's the one that's flying. Giga Kick couldn't even beat Airman's last 600.
No, so I'm really, really, really sad about that horse because from the two runs resuming, we've seen after his long layoff, I'm starting to lose hope that we're going to get the horse that we had, which is a shame because he had the world at his feet and could have been running in Everest for the next 3 or 4 years. Well, he's still going to run in the Everest, and who knows, he could bounce back. But I have not seen enough. He's gonna have to improve, I think, 4, maybe even 5 lengths to win an Everest, and I just don't see that happening between runs 2 and 3, unfortunately, for Clayton and co. So I thought it was interesting that the ATC pulled the trigger and picked him up in conjunction with Jonathan Munns of Pine Clip Racing fame. But also, like, out of that race, the only one I could possibly take in the Everest is Bella Nipotina. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking about, okay, which 3-year-old am I going with? Or alternatively, am I going with the Jolly Star Sunshine in Paris form line?
Oh, yeah. Overpass has to get a slot, right? Has to. He's beaten Bella Nipotina first up, twice?
Yeah.
In the Quokka, where she's rock hard fit and proven to be an absolute bulldog and be consistent wherever she races. If Overpass doesn't get a slot,
Chips in for the Sydney Stakes?
If I was... Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, Bjorn would be rightfully furious because he is into this Everest up to his eyeballs with that horse if he's first up there.
Yeah.
I think so because where's the speed in that race?
There's no speed aside from now the Waterhouse spot horses, Stormboy and Lady of Camelot.
Yeah.
Lady of Camelot, 1,200 metres, high pressure Everest. I'm not so sure. Stormboy, if he misses the start, he's gone. So I'm leaning towards I'm leaning towards the alternative form lines. A mare or a filly has never placed in the top 3 in the Everest. I think that'll change this year.
I believe so. Bella, Sunshine in Paris, I think. Sunshine in Paris to me is probably my number one seed.
I'm leaning towards that as well, and I'm pretty sure before that race yesterday, she was double figures in Everest markets. She will tighten up so much from that resuming run.
Steffi as well.
Steffi is the other one I forgot about.
Like she's because 7 Horse Racing had the markets up and she wasn't even on the screen. I'm like, is this horse like 20-1? Surely not. Like, yeah, let me get this Everest market up with the good people at Ned's because I think it's due for us to talk about it. All right, so I Wish I Win 5s, Bella 6s, Growing Empire without a slot 7s, Traffic Warden 8s, Jolly Star 9s, Sunshine in Paris 11s, Giga Kick 13s with Steffi. I know of those two who I'd prefer at the price. Think About It 15s, Private Eye 17s, Stormboy 17s, I Am Me 21s, Overpass 21s, Southport Tycoon 21s, Lady of Camelot 34s. Then I'm scrolling down. I'm like, I don't know who you take.
Oh, geez, I think as it stands right now, my first 3, depending on who gets the Yulong slot. So I'm just going to ignore that at the moment. I'm thinking Traffic Warden might be my number 1 seed. Sunshine in Paris, and then like one of Jolly Star or Steffi Magnetica, and they're not hard in the market. Frankly, I needed to see more from I Wish I Win in those first 2 runs, and yeah, he can peak third up, but then if you're thinking that, well, the last time he ran against Bella over 1,200 meters, guess what happened?
Yeah, it's a good point.
I can't take him at $5.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've discussed this at length. Is he can win. Probably, like, he can definitely win, but it will most likely be without our cash on.
Yeah.
Because the price he goes around at.
Because he can run on a bit.
And the Randwick is his track. I think, like, his Sydney leg is so much more, he's so superior.
Yeah.
Like, he's proven that time and time
Identified
again.
on this podcast a long time ago.
Yeah, well done by you. Moonee Valley, hardly, I don't think that's the ideal setup for him. Like, I think he donkey looped him at...
You're talking me into him again.
So, yeah, we'll see. The Everest, yeah. I think, yeah, you're
Airman's
right.
not getting a slot. Marzu's not getting a slot.
I'd give Arkansas Kid a slot ahead of there. You know who I'd actually give, like, a hell of... It would be an almighty throw at the stumps at. But he's flying this horse in benchmark grade is Ostraka.
Ostraka is flying.
He is flying.
He is flying.
Like, Annabelle...
That's three in a row for him, isn't it?
Yeah, including a Queensland win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, he'd be going around at 40, 50, 60 to 1, but, like, he'd be one that could sneak into the top 4.
Well,
like,
the victim had a dabble of sauce yesterday and found him.
Yeah, my theory about Cornish was horribly bad. Horribly. Did not age well at all. Like, he did have a slow recovery, though, and he was 3 wide without cover, so there was an excuse there. But, not the best debut run post-gelding operation.
Not at all.
I did see in the stewards report, commiserations to Sneezy Racing, Snowman has been confirmed that he's going to be gelded. Yeah. Yeah,
he was not interested yesterday at all.
He wasn't. So that was like one of the key things I saw in this, in the stewards report from Sydney. But what else happened in Sydney? Obviously, the 2-year-olds debuted. King Kirk was one.
Son of Ole.
Yeah, well, Ole Kirk, I think he had the second favourite maybe in the fillies race as well. So he's stamped his authority early.
He has.
King Kirk, for those thousands of owners in the microshare ownership, whatever it is, my racehorse, King Kirk, he was the one that I said on Wednesday kind of crossed heels and then straightened and then went go. Not probably the most impressive trial for the morning, and then he goes around at 850 and was $4 out to 850 and still wins.
Yeah, evidently, just the Waterhouse spot stable getting them right again. I think they had the trifecta in that race. So,
Yeah, they did.
Did I bet in that race? Absolutely not.
Yeah, and they won the 2-year-old race in
Melbourne as
in
well.
Melbourne as well. So, they're just an absolute powerhouse. And then Belle Merci, John Thompson after the race was hilarious. He was like, I did nothing with this horse. That is all just natural talent. He's like, I haven't trained this thing at all.
That's actually unbelievable.
Yeah. So I think she's a very, very smart one. And our on-top selection, I believe, forget her name, but for Kieran Ma, didn't go around. So
A Carrion Dream.
that's it. Yeah. I think she would have given her a run for her money, but she did Brandon by 1.5 lengths. So Swift Falcon, as we kind of talked to, 2.5 lengths, only horse you wanted to be on in that race.
Yeah.
Heads towards a spring champion. Did it on his Melbourne leg at Flemington as well, which is what you'd hope to see. And then we've touched on Ostraka. So now let's get to Flemmo. Flemington had everything yesterday. Had a bit of lightning going around and delays and
Yeah. Well, it threw me off because I thought Right to Party in the second last was the last race. I completely forgot about the Revolutionary Miss race, which is probably for the best because I probably would have lost some money. But anyway.
Via Sistina, soft 6 track, rail out 9 meters. Damien Lane on Frosty. You were critical of the young man.
I was
during the week.
I was. She was definitely in my numbers because she deserved to be in my numbers. And look, 40% of drifters were on her, so that's a popular pick. For me, I didn't like the fact that there could be rain around. The set weights and penalties element of the Turnbull, her last start, and Frosty hasn't been riding super. So I was a little bit against her, but boy, was I proven wrong. She ran super. And Damien Lane's comments after the race were that she didn't really enjoy that deck at all. And that's a soft 6. So that's a slight concern if the Cox Plate is being run on anything other than a good deck. But no, she's right back on track. That was tough. It was a good win.
Yeah. I agree. They haven't got this. I saw a comment where, if he'll retain the ride, and he's like, well, J-Mac and K-Mac are basically in the saddle ready to unwarm the saddle for them because he's like, I've got this Japanese thing ready to go, bro.
A prognosis.
Yeah. But who's to say on a good track that she's not competitive in Cox Plate? Is Buckaroo competitive in a Cox Plate?
Absolutely is. Absolutely is.
This is one of the best gelding operations we've seen.
I think so. And do you know why? Because he was good in Europe as a horse who still had his nuts. Like, yeah, he hadn't won until a couple of starts ago in the Chelmsford over here, but I think he'd shown us enough that a snip would bring him right on. It's just the Tug C, the ultimate gear change. It's worked wonders for Buckaroo, and it's great because, he's going to add depth. He'll go around in a Cox Plate as, what, a $10 pot maybe?
$17 at the moment.
Yeah. There's others I prefer, but he wouldn't shock. He ran super.
I think he's a top 6 chance in a Cox Plate.
I
He'll
think
finish
so.
in the first half of the field, I think. And I think the stable they're in two minds because they're like, well, the way he finished off the Underwood, which I don't necessarily agree with this, because he was so dominant against them. They're like, oh, he's almost looking for a mile and a half, like 2,400 meters. I was like, I think 2,000 meters is the best option.
Yeah,
for him.
I disagree with that sentiment. 2,400 and 2,000 is different gravy.
Yeah.
Completely different gravy.
What is in his advantage, though, is our 2,400 meter stocks are that bad.
That is true. What weight will he be getting in a Caulfield Cup? Because I think is the Underwood exempt?
I think it is. I think I looked it up. So, yeah, he's already in the race with 54.5. So
I think he's well weighted in that race.
Well, Faulkner Park is the top weight with 55.
Oh, that's how condensed it is. Yeah, right. Okay. And this goes back to my point. Like, you're looking at things like, oh, this thing's only got 51 kilos in a Caulfield Cup. Like, so lightly weighted. It's like, yeah, but more than half the field probably has around that. So,
hold on. Via Sistina, if she went there, she'd be the top weight, 56 kilos. She won't be going there, though.
No.
So, you know who will be the equal top weight with Faulkner Park? Calipaw. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, God.
Wow.
God.
That's not good.
Well, speaking of Caulfield Cups, the wash-up out of the Turnbull, the third place getter, Elias. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was fine. Fine run. Kind of played out how I was hoping, where he'd have the... I didn't expect the Marcus Sport. Did not expect that. I think he's a smart horse, don't get me wrong. But I thought... First thought, best thought would be my opinions. I think he's fighting out that finish with Land Legend and Zardozi in the Metrop. And if he was prepped up, third up, to be racing at 2,400 metres, we probably might have seen that. There was just a couple who were just superior than him, had a superior turn of foot.
Yeah. What do you think about him in a Caulfield Cup?
I think he'll run fine. I don't like the pivot away from the initial plan. So I'll probably, and it's like, I'm a big fan of the horse, but I'll probably be finding something to beat him.
Yep. So he was sort of popular with the drifters. Via Sestino, overwhelming pick. He had about 10% of the picks. Elias, similar to a Tissue. Buckaroo had slightly more, and Warmonger was next with about 9%. He raced keenly. He went to the back, and he did run on. He looked like a horse who's looking for 4,000 metres though, not 2,400 metres.
That's exactly what Mickey D said after the race. He's said basically, I think he might be looking for 2,400 metres already. So you can forgive him for one poor run, but I believe he might have been Caulfield Cup favourite prior to yesterday, and
he was about $6 or $7 in futures markets before the race
15
yesterday.
Now.
Yeah, and that's a price that you could play in, definitely.
Yeah, I think so. So let me have a look here. How did he finish off the race? I think he didn't finish off, but you don't want to bang him up either. So he'll run the distance. Caulfield Cup futures markets now $7 a field. So
good betting race.
Yeah, it's going to be a good betting race. If Land Legend goes there, $13. It's a big price.
Zardozi,
15s. Cheerwolf, 17s. Epsom to a Caulfield Cup would be unreal.
That would be unreal. Right, well, so the wash-up of the on the drift tipping competition yesterday, and there'll be a leaderboard coming out early on in the week, combining last week's results as well. But well done to Tom Cleary. Look, could be a good day for the Clearys. With 11 points. So he had Lady Shenandoah in the Flight Stakes. He had Zardozi in the Metrop, and then had Cheerwolf and Via Sistina as well. So 3 winners and a second. Well done, Barra. So the second place drifter for yesterday was Andrew Carolyn. He had 10 points. The only difference in his picks was snow in May. So well done, drifters. There's a few of you who got 9 points, a few on 8. I think a pass mark yesterday would have been about 5 or 6 points because there was a few things that were popular in the market that got up. So I'll have an update for you guys early on in the week with how the top 10's shaping up, but I think it'll be pretty competitive at the moment.
Thank you, mate. That was a really succinct little update you gave there.
Thanks, mate.
Let's finish off this Flemington card. It wasn't on my bingo card to see Just Fine win yesterday.
No, it was not.
I thought this horse would never win again. I thought I was in the casino, got my fill, got out of there, said, see you later, bruh. $21, he won it.
Yeah, unbelievable. Tough day, Flemington, but
he's raced in the wet and got none.
I know, it's bizarre. He was given an absolute peach by Jordan Childs.
Oh, yeah.
This horse has now found himself in a Melbourne Cup. No way in hell could I see him win that.
No way.
He fell in 2,500 metres, but that's where you take him, because where else do you take him?
Yeah.
It'd be fascinating to see if he put in that sort of performance in a Caulfield Cup, how he would have gone, because I don't know what sort of weight he'd have, but as a Group 1 winner, probably carrying a bit. So, well done, Gay. You've again, tough on-speed horses sometimes can just get the chockies.
Point King he's a horse that keeps finding the line and heading towards the Melbourne Cup. I think he'll be 15 to 20 to 1, but I think there's worse chances in the race. He just seems like a consistent horse.
There's a lot of exotic markets in a Melbourne Cup. Like you can play down to like top 10 or something like that. If he's one that you want to include in those sort of markets, I think he'd be a great pick.
St. George beaten 4.5.
I needed to see more from him yesterday, getting out to a distance where he performed at his best over in Europe. I can tear out my Caulfield Cup tickets for that horse at 50s, which is a bit of a shame. He was given every chance.
Didn't appreciate the soft conditions, apparently.
Really?
Apparently. That's what Declan Bates said.
Fascinating.
So are you saying the greys in the wet is a myth?
A grey from the Northern Hemisphere doesn't like a soft deck at Flemington, which
is probably like the firmest soft you'd get.
You would think so. That's interesting. He could be joining Snowman on the chopping block with the old tug. Say St. George, gorgeous horse.
Yeah, he is gorgeous, but if he doesn't run fast, then what are we doing here? So yeah, it's obviously not the best result for St. George fans.
Typical.
Like this is the top 8 in this, or top 10 rather. Just Fine, Point King, a maid. That horse he's an 11-year-old. He's run a third. This is the state of our middle distance ranks. Berkshire Breeze, Mission of Love. Who? Interpretation, Positivity, Horrifying. St. George and Manzois. Just not good reading, is it?
It is not.
I'm worried. Like, yeah, this Caulfield Cup is going to be... mate, if Without a Fight was fit, like what price would he go around at?
God, yeah, carrying 58 kilos is still put him to the sword. Racing Victoria shot themselves in the foot a little bit because they made it so hard for international... They desperately want the internationals to compete in our spring features. Make it so hard for them to come over. It's so hard on the horse to go through all that testing and what have you, and then they can finally get here, and then Racing Victoria vets are fickle at best and can rule them out. So then the owners who have the most cash in their pockets are thinking, well, I'm just going to get the imports over anyway, but I'm going to buy them and I'm going to race them in Australia for the rest of their career. It doesn't always work out, and we're seeing that. And the most elite talent over in Europe, which would win over the sort of 2,000, 2,400 metre races, like we're yet to see a lot of them come over. One that's come over and is doing well is Via Sistina, but she was about 6 milli. And that's not cash in pockets owners like your Sneesby Racings of the world. That's like multi-billionaire type owners who are prepared to do that. So that's probably reserved for your Godolphins and for your Yulongs of the world and your Coolmores, right?
That's where you go like, 6 milli, here's $50. Like
that's the equivalent.
That's it. Like
that's the equivalent. So it's sort of it's by our own design, mate. By our own design, we love the 2-year-olds, we love the sprinters. Therefore, all the money in our breeding game is geared towards that. We're desperate to get internationals into our feature races. That was a push that started to happen, sort of 15, 20 years ago, and as a result, it made it harder for the locally trained horses to win the big races. As a result, owners who want to win a Melbourne Cup or a Caulfield Cup are now turning to not, buying locally and, bringing them through the sort of Oaks and Derby paths. So they're looking to just import them over. So it's by our own design, mate, and it won't change. It won't change unless there's a change in attitude towards where it all begins, when that's in the breeding barn, which is why horses like the Autumn Sun are so important.
Yeah. Well said by you.
That's just my 2 cents.
Well, we need to bandage up his broken penis. Make sure it's okay.
Someone please take care of that penis. Maybe you can get stem cells, something like that from Linebacker and Snowman.
Well, we had on breeding news, we've had someone challenge your big statement about militarize.
Yeah, I think I've been fed a false narrative by someone prominent in the industry about militarised. Apparently, he's got plenty in foal. So yeah, A1 dickhead over here, which which is a little bit bemusing, but
Yeah.
oh well,
Happens.
it does happen.
Not ideal.
Not ideal at all.
That's all right. It's just, maybe you just like retire your news hound status.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yep.
Now, the superimpose, obviously one of the key lead ups to the Victoria Derby. Keeneland was a nice winner on speed, and if you're going to back Johnny, you'd be in the staying 3-year-old.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's nice to see Johnny get a win. I think it's well overdue for him. Scary was a nice return. We didn't really know how he'd line up. I think he was a Sale Maiden winner, so didn't really know how he'd line up on Saturday grade, but he did fine. I think the Godolphin runner was a sneaky good run.
Levelia?
Yeah, 19th fastest last 400 meeting of 400 meter sectional of the race meeting, and the 6th fastest last 200. Obviously with the downgrades later, but I think he ran decent time for Godolphin, and Godolphin always have a pretty smart Derby.
They tend
horse.
to, yeah. They tend to. I think Sergeant Major probably isn't a stayer. I was on Scary. He's by shocking Melbourne Cup winner, and his mare's a reliable mare.
Never ever.
Yeah, so he's got staying pedigree written all through him. He looked fantastic yesterday, actually, and maybe he's looking for further. So, interesting to see. Like if he goes to a Derby, it'd probably be a double figure shot. But one to keep an eye on.
Lavalier.
Lavalier.
He's a microphone cult.
I did see that.
Hey,
Yeah,
good to see.
He's in his second season microphone. So yeah, sometimes they can just spit out all different types.
Yeah.
He was a good horse.
He was a very good horse. Now, the Edward Manifold saw Too Darn Discreet, Too Darn Hot filly win that when it was pouring, absolutely teeming down.
It was bucketing down. So I think you can take the form out of that race with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I was on DeClichy Boulevard, and, just another losing ticket to add to the
pile.
Wings of Desire. I had a look at her. I was looking at her a bit more forensically on race morning, and I was against her at the distance. The more I looked at her, I'm like, I'm not sure if she runs out a mile. And it's hard to say if I was proven right. It was not the setup for her.
No.
Now the Danehill, key lead up to the Coolmore stud. First Settler. This horse had the what was that horse's name?
Sauce.
No. First Settler. He had the form of
Growing Empire.
Yeah, that thing had the form of that horse. So, if you like your Growing Empire form, you were rewarded with $4.
Yeah, did it the hard way as well. He drew in, which is not ideal down the straight. He went back, and I think they wanted to find a more prominent spot for him. And Mickey D said, we wanted to be in the middle lanes because that's where it's more superior. But the turn of foot for First Settler was superior. So, I think he's a rung below. Obviously, our top 3-year-old's heading towards that Coolmore, but he'll continue to improve. He's only been beaten once, and that was by Growing Empire. Victim was on reserve bank coming out of provincial races. Gee, he's got a rump on him. Oh, honestly though, like if you see the steward's vision, he's got an enormous rump on him, and he was exposed a long way out. So I think he's a horse you can also take out of the race. But is he better than First Settler? Probably not.
My guy Bodyguard confirmed with the stable last night as well. Hated it. Hated the ground. Hated everything about it. Just didn't want to be there, so he went back to bed. The big fella. So I think what you will be is duly rewarded with a bigger price on a better track. You might be rewarded with Bodyguard. So Uncle Bryn again wasn't on my bingo card, and Raw Champion let me down.
He was a letdown, but he ran his race before he even got in the gates. The big fella.
Yeah.
Oh, he was sweating up.
Yeah. Okay.
Sweating up. Did not want to be there. Spent some petrol tickets as well, sort of getting across from that gate. I think it's a forgive run.
Yeah, soft ground, not to his liking either. 61 kilos, beat Jigsaw home. I think that's like some little little shining light. Beat the likes of Aaron Bay home as well. So he beat the favoured runners in the market home. But it was just a bit of a absolute shit show, to be honest. But yeah, I think this horse is better out to about 2,000 metres anyway. And he hasn't raced in yonks. Big weight on him. Yeah. He looked good. Still a bit of tightening up to do. So, was my analysis spot on? He looks a bit like Zaki, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, I think that's pretty much... I think there was one more. Oh yeah, Right to Party. Well done.
Yeah, down in the weights.
Yeah.
Down in the weights. Just got there. Arkansas kid.
Yeah, I was unlucky in that race with his Magic Time. She got held up significantly.
She did, yeah.
Like she crossed heels. I think it was Arkansas kid that actually did the damage. Froggy, I think he might be in for a holiday, looking at the stewards report as well. So, yeah, Magic Time's just consistent, isn't she?
She's a good mare.
Champions sprint, I'd say, for her.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if they're going to go to a Rupert Clark again because it's a handicap race, so I don't know what she'd have to carry.
Sorry, mate.
Excuse me. Gee whiz, just thinking about that race. Nice win by Right to Party. Just right place, right time, I think. And I'll tell you what, that last race, I think that's going to be a bit of a form race with Revolutionary Miss Aria and Skybird. I think Skybird's got a good win in her. She was the top weight in that race and drew the car park. I don't know what that race will be. If she's down in the weights in like a Rupert Clark, I'd give her a chance in that.
You say she was still half a kilo. Like, in my opinion, it's not nothing.
It's not nothing.
But it's so. What do you reckon? Empire Rose? Is that?
I don't know if she's a miler for mine. I think she might be a 1,400 metre horse. But yeah, maybe you could probably run her in that. And then 2 weeks into a Rupert Clark, like go back to 14. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Miss Aria's, who's she remind me of? Maybe like a Shillelagh.
Yeah, good shout.
A real line hunter. Probably see her best at Flemington.
Yeah, I think so. She gets back and she's just missed a couple of times. So yesterday she just missed in the Sunshine Coast Guineas as well when your boy was on a big price. So it's going to be heart in your mouth type stuff with Miss Aria, but no, definitely a line hunter, 100%. And Miss Aria's grown wings. Well done, Matty Hill. He was on that date.
Yep, he was. But yeah, Revolutionary Miss, so consistent. 5-year-old mare. We could see it. If you're consistent in your 4-year-old year, I think
you're better as a 5-year-old.
You're bomb-proof in your 5-year-old year. And she just... What she's proven is to take a position because in her 2-year-old stuff, actually, she's the female version of Marzo a little bit. Except she wins far more often. To be fair, though, she's only versing the girls. That's all she needs to do. But she used to be ridden last and have this zooming turn of foot. Far more versatile now.
Yeah, she can sit a lot closer.
Yeah. Change of stable too, Kieran Ma. So, commiserations for the Snowden stable. They probably need to downgrade their stable a little bit. So, Josh, if you have an inside word there, I'd be fascinated to know what happened.
Yeah, and Snowden's always been focused on 2-year-olds, right? So they imagine how many fresh 2-year-olds they get each year. They probably do need to cycle some out each year.
True. All right. Group 1s next week. We have the Toorak Handicap, another wheel at 2:30, Antino 7s, Pinstripe World Champion 11s, Amelia's Jewel, Atishu, Celestial Legend, Craig, Desert Lightning, Jimmy Star, Oban Biramai, Orchestral, Pericles V8, Zugotcha at 15s.
That could be a very small field. I'm probably looking at taking another wheel on at that price.
I could get around Jimmy. That was a nice performance first up.
I could get around the Kiwi horse as well. Desert. That was a good win last start. I'll have to see the weights, but I think depending on what another wheel gets, at $2.30, and I could be prepared to take him on.
Mate, if you give me 2 secs, I could look it up for you. What the weights are going to be.
Sheesh.
Let me just. All right, what race is it? The Toorak Handicap. Here we go. So, what horse are you looking for?
What does Desert Lightning have?
Give me a sec. Racing Australia, not the best thing. Oh, sorry. Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. Wait. There we go. Okay, it's not coming up.
That's all right.
All right.
Well.
Is it so hard? That's all I wanted to do. All right. The other race is the Might and Power. Now, I think this is going to be a tiny field. Mr. Brightside, $1.80. Buckaroo, Via Sistina, Royal Patronage, Faulkner Park, Pericles, A Tissue, Coco Sun, Place to Carousel, Poptronic, Royal Champion, Warmonger. Is Mr. Brightside just going to roll around by himself here?
He might do. How's having a 2,000 metre race a week after a 2,000 metre race helping yourselves out racing Victoria? Yeah, begs. Honestly, there's some things that they do which are fantastic, and there's other things which are completely, absolutely fucking stupid. And having the Might and Power wait for a 2,000 metre race a week after a set weights and penalties 2,000 metre race makes zero sense, guys. Sort it out.
2 weeks before a Cox Plate.
Sort it out. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes zero sense.
It makes zero sense. Yeah, talk about bloody upgrading some Group 1s. How about you downgrade something like we've been talking about for years? Anyway, well, the highlight of that day is obviously going to be the Caulfield Guineas.
Broadsiding, $1.70. Traffic Warden, 9s. Angel Capital, 11s with Evaporate. Anode, Nindola at 15. Stormboy, 17s won't be going there. Private Life, 18s with Wanarua. El Costello, 21s with Emirate. Mayfair, Public Attention, Tropicus. Henline, 26s. So I could get him around that boy.
Yeah, he looks a smarty. How do they beat Broadsiding?
Well, leaderish day, Evaporate finds the front. Be his fourth run at 1,600 metres. So he's rock hard fit. Second, does Broadsiding have a bit of the second up syndrome?
Do you know what I think Broadsiding has? And I'm going to make a statement, and he's not. It's not like it's an outlandish statement because he's well in the market. I think he's got one hoof firmly on the Cox Plate.
Wow. Okay. So if we'll have a look at that Cox
He
Plate.
he has so much more upside than anything else going into that race.
Prognosis?
Yeah, but we know where prognosis is at. And if he turns up at his best, absolutely, probably the one to beat. But he can be a bit of a fucking nutter.
Yeah. So, all right. So the clear form reference for that horse is Romantic Warrior.
It's a good form reference.
So it's like if Romantic Warrior is in this race again this year, do you go like, oh, does that lessen your confidence?
If Romantic Warrior rocks up and he's the Romantic Warrior that we had last year in the Cox Plate, you can take him on.
Yeah.
But if it's the Romantic Warrior that's at his best, he's in my book like $1.20.
Yeah, right.
So if Prognosis turns up at his best, he's the one to beat.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen of Broadsiding, we haven't seen him further than a mile. He looks like a 2,000 metre horse to me.
True.
And the fact that he did that first up in a Golden Rose with some Brisbane form residual fitness, as it stands right now, I'm taking him over Via Sistina. I'm taking him over Mr. Brightside.
With 50 kilos, 49 or whatever.
Guess who's riding the house down at the moment? Zachy Lloyd.
Yeah, true.
So he'll get the ride for Godolphin.
You, by the way, was spot on.
About what?
With the slap on the wrist for Zach. Because he was riding Traffic Warden, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in a post-race interview after... was he riding Lady Shenandoah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like... it was nice to get one for Mr. Waller. But it's like... And, I've butchered a few for him. But, he basically said that he's been celebrating when he shouldn't have been. You were 100% right.
Sheesh.
Yeah. He said that in his post-race. Well done.
Yeah. Well, he shouldn't have. It was a Group 2.
What's that? Finger on the pulse, man.
Oh, mate. Fuck. Jeez. At least I can get that right.
Okay. So, Broadsiding. All right. So, Prognosis 420. Pride of Jenny 550. You know who the punters are going to be on. They're going to be on Pride of Jenny on the day.
Yeah, she's probably the one that I didn't even think about, which will make it difficult. Yeah.
The Sistina 6s, Mr. Brightside 9s, Fangirl won't be heading there, Buckaroo 17s, Another Will 18s, Cheerwolf 21s, Docklands 21s, Royal Patronage 26s. Tell you what, there's a long tail to the Cox Plate.
What price is broadsiding, sorry?
6s.
Oh, okay, right. He's pretty short, isn't he? But I tell you what, like, if he like, who's he going to be beating in the Caulfield Guineas? But if he brains that field, he won't be $6 in a Cox Plate. Might have to start nibbling at that now before the Caulfield Guineas.
It is a long tail to this race, I feel. Interesting. I need to do more form on that Docklands for the Bumblebees.
Yeah, he's a Harry Eustace horse. So Dave Eustace's brother over in Europe, and the plan was always to bring him over. He's a smarty. He's not a top tier over there, but you don't need to be to win our Cox Plate, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, we'll be there.
Can't wait.
Yeah, documenting and like being news hounds and that sort of thing. Just making sure that the drifters know what happens, because it's going to be one of the best Cox Plates, because the talent at the top tier. I wonder if Chris Waller changes his mind. Fangirl comes out, wins the King Charles, changes his mind maybe.
I hope so. I doubt it though. I hope so.
Especially with a horse that's had a setback this year.
She's good enough to win a Cox Plate, Fangirl.
Yeah.
She certainly deserves her spot in the field. Yeah, it makes it tricky, doesn't it? Makes it tricky having a $5 million race the week before, doesn't it? Over a mile,
Really does. I think what we're going to see is Prognosis and Jenny going like this. And then out wide, you see Broadsiding kind of blend into it, and that's going to be the final 100. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
With Brightside behind them running into fourth.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my early prediction.
That's a soundbite, drifters. First four.
You know, it's not a remarkable first four, because they're probably first four on the market.
But this is why we like the Cox Plate.
Yeah,
Because more often than not, what rises to the top?
class.
And that's why I think you can bet with confidence in a Cox Plate, because it sorts itself out.
Yep. Okay. We'll be back on Wednesday. Plenty to talk about from this Wednesday. But yeah, we'll put out that socials post with the updated leaderboard for the tipping comp as well.
Gee-hoo.